Hello and welcome to another edition of Issues with JIDE. Here we'll talk about actions and inactions of those who shape our political and national landscape and how these impact us positively or otherwise. I'm Ibrahim Shita. Today on the show, U.S. Lawmaker Alleges plots to kill Nnamdi Kanu. Also, a few days to go, Buhari seeks fresh $800 million World Bank loan. And later on the show, drama in court as Labour Party factions clash. In the course of the program, we take your questions. But first, subscribe to our YouTube channel and drop your questions in the comment section. I have joining me via Zoom, the master himself, Babajide Kolade-Otitoju. It's good to see you again, BKO.
Thank you. Thank you.
Right. Now, U.S. lawmaker Jarvis Johnson has alleged of plots to assassinate the IPOB leader, Nnamdi Kanu, before the next administration takes over. Appealing to the U.S. members of Congress to urgently intervene and also urge the Nigeria government to release him. Did you find this alarming?
Yes, I think it's really alarming, and normally you don't expect our allies, you don't expect someone from America or someone from the UK to speak in this emphatic manner. You want to give them benefit of the doubt that they won't stand on the rooftop and say things that they do not have sufficient evidence of. So I think it's really disturbing that an American lawmaker from the state of Texas will make this damning and highly injurious allegation against the Buhari regime. I do not believe that the Buhari regime plans to assassinate Nnamdi Kanu either now or at any time. I have no such. I do not think that there is such a plan in the works. Yes, there have been reports of Nnamdi Kanu health not good enough. There have been calls for him to be relocated to Kuje prison where he can receive proper Medicare. His lawyers have spoken about deteriorating health, but the DSS have always said that he's been looked after the right way. And I remember also his lawyer, Ozekome, expressing fear that Kanu could die in the custody of the DSS. Perhaps it was because of stories like this that this American lawmaker raised this alarm and urged his government to apply pressure on the Nigerian government to ensure Kanu's release immediately so that he doesn't get killed or assassinated in the custody of the DSS. I think that the DSS or any Nigerian government official, for that matter, knows what could result from killing Nnamdi Kanu in custody. I don't want to believe that the Nigerian government will be so reckless as to take Nnamdi Kanu's life in captivity. The opprobrium that will bring will shatter the peace of our country, and the implication of Kanu dying in captivity is easier imagined. I want to believe that that will mortally fracture our country. Our country is already fractured at this time, but if anything happens to Kanu captivity, honestly, we will be in trouble as a country. So I don't think that any right-thinking Nigerian government official or security operative will be thinking at this time that it makes sense to take Kanu's life. Nobody will be that reckless. Yes, we can say that the American lawmaker is entitled to his opinion, but this is particularly disturbing. I don't think that there is any plan to take Nnamdi Kanu's life. Attention. There is nothing that the Buhari administration will benefit in the twilight of his reign from killing somebody who has already become a prisoner of conscience, a political prisoner. So all we want is for a resolution of this matter. And if government insists that the law must take its course, then let the judiciary proceed quickly with its prosecution so that if he's convicted, he goes to prison. And if he's set free by the courts, so be it, to be released to his family. Kanu will not be killed in detention by Nigerian government officials. I'm very certain about that. I'm not sure it will be that reckless. I can understand how the American lawmaker feels. He believes that the way it was brought into Nigeria to 2021 was illegal. I also agree that it was illegal. It did not meet the conditions stipulated in global conventions because there was no extradition trial. They just brought him to Nigeria in a legal manner, which is against global conventions, which is against international law. So the lawmaker is reminding his country that, look, this person is a British citizen. He was brought into Nigeria illegally. He's being persecuted by Nigerian government officials, and they are going to eventually take his life. I don't think they will eventually take his life. I do not see that happen. No man will go to that extent at this time, especially in a democratic way.
Right.
You know, the military have a way of taking draconian steps without thinking of the repercussion. But I don't think that in a democratic setting that anybody will be so crazy as to willfully take Nnamdi Kanu's life captivity.
Well, NG Top 10 says, JIDE, American lawmaker has a right to air his views. And Fabian says, we need to stop speaking about MNK like he's some freedom fighter. This man is responsible for the deaths of innocent Igbos. For his selfish agenda, IPOB is thriving, and releasing him would be wrong. Andrew Instre says, can Babajide talk about the this is out of it's not what we are talking about. So do you agree with Fabian Akeze, for instance, who is saying that Nnamdi Kanu should not be treated as freedom fighter? Even the unemployment in the southeast is also, he also blamed it on him, saying that the high rate of unemployment and tribalism in Nigeria has allowed IPOB thrive. So if youths are engaged in productive tasks, they would not be pursuing secession. We have to stop giving him media attention.
And there is no way a man of Nnamdi Kanu's stature will not get media attention. It's just impossible. It's just impossible to not talk about him. And anything that happens to him would be a newspaper copy any day. It's not something that we as journalists can do anything about. If his lawyer comes out of the court on a day that his matter is being heard, journalists will be itching to hear what he has to say because people have no access to him in the detention facility. So whatever his lawyer says will be headline news in our country, and there's no way an American lawmaker will raise an alarm that Nnamdi Kanu is going to be killed by Nigerian authorities. There's no way he will call on his home government to intervene and get him released before he gets killed by the Buhari administration without it attracting newspaper headlines. So this is the way it is. The manner in which we treated Nnamdi Kanu's matter from the beginning made him like a hero to many people. Another administration would simply have ignored him and not give him that much attention that now turned him to some sort of a freedom fighter. And bringing him from Kenya to Nigeria in the manner that they have done further draws attention to him. So there's nothing that anybody can do about it. He's not the first to push for actualization of Biafra. Uwazurike did it. But Uwazurike's matter was not handled the way Kanu's matter has been handled. I think there was a lot of overzealousness on the part of Nigerian officials at some point, which gave Kanu the cult-like status that he now enjoys, especially in the Southeast and even beyond our country. So I think that mistake was made from the beginning when an attempt was made by Nigerian soldiers to take him alive when they raided his father's house and all that. And all of these things point to bad handling of the Kanu affair, where you see a man whom you know is trying to draw attention to himself, and then you play into his hands. We have the kind of situation that we have found ourselves. The Nigerian government didn't handle this matter well at all. And when the court said he should be freed, clearly Nigerian officials were not expecting that judgment, and they refused to obey the judgment. So all of these things would inevitably and inexorably draw attention to him and make him look like a hero to so many people. Right. He has sympathizers beyond the shores of our country. It is largely the mismanagement of his matter that led us to this.
Right. So let's change tack by looking at the President Muhammad Buhari's loan application to the National Assembly. You know, despite outcry, he has decided to ignore critics and demanded $800 million loan for a program he said would expand coverage of shock responsive safety net support among the poor and vulnerable Nigerians. What issues are there in this for you, Bikil?
I think coming so close to the end of the administration, it is shocking to hear that Mr. President has made this kind of demand. We are already in trouble in terms of the quantum of loans that we have taken, especially under this administration, and the capacity to pay diminishes with every passing day. In fact, KPMG has even suggested that Nigeria could end up spending in this year 100% of its revenue, because we've had a situation in which in one quarter we spent 118% of our revenue to to um, to service debt, whereas over that same period, South Africa spent just 20% of their revenue, and their debt is higher than ours. So already we have not managed the situation very well. You are leaving office. You have just 9 days to leave office. 2 Mondays from now, we'll have the inauguration of a new president. That is not the time to be asking for loan. I think that the National Assembly, under the leadership of Senator Ahmed Lawan, have spoiled the president in terms of the constant granting of his loan requests without thinking of the implications, because these loans are denominated in foreign currency. We earn a lot of our receipts. A lot of our receipts are in naira form. Talking about our revenue generating agencies, including customs and the rest of them, they generate revenue in naira. By the time what is generated is converted to dollars, which is the currency with which you pay for these debts, you see that it pales into insignificance. So I think that we are already overburdened by too much debt, and we are held back by inability to earn enough money by way of revenue, to the point that the last thing that you want to see or you want to hear is that we are piling up new debt. I think that this is wrong at this time, even if the money is meant to pay some of the most vulnerable in our society. And when they talk about a determination to make the whole thing transparent, promising that the disbursement will be transparent, you are not going to be in office at that time. So how do you enforce transparency when you will even be out of government? How are you sure that transparency will be maintained? You are no longer going to be in office, and I mean, in the next 6 months, you won't be in the office, and you won't be in office, and this money is supposed to be disbursed over a period of 6 months. You have said that the money will be transferred to people electronically. A lot of the most vulnerable in our society do not even have bank accounts. We've been told that in northern Nigeria, only about 35% of women actually have bank accounts. In more than half of the 774 local governments of our country, there are no banks. So I'm not swayed by the promise of transparency in disbursing the money. I think that the current administration has taken enough loans for it to be thinking of taking a fresh loan with just a few days to the termination of the administration. I don't think it makes sense, and it has a way of saddling the incoming administration with far more debt than they can handle. We have all kinds of debts, ways and means, and the rest of them. We are taking loans to even pay salaries, to handle the current expenditure, to take care of the current expenditure. We are taking loans. The World Bank has warned us to stop taking those loans from the CBN. which we call ways and means. So this is happening, is disturbing enough. But I'm shocked that the administration or the president will go and be asking for loan. There are some other things that we see happening, appointments being made, last minute appointments and all that. Well, the president reserves the right up to his last day in office to um, fill vacancies and all that. It's in the exercise of his duties as a president. But I don't think it is morally right to be piling on debt just when you are about to leave office. I don't know the kind of people who advise the president. They are not doing a good job at all.
Okay. NG Top 10 says Tinubu said he will continue with Buhari's legacy. So, is it not proper to believe that President Buhari is borrowing on behalf of Tinubu? Fabian Akeze says, why did the president not use the 21 billion naira that was used to upgrade the Asoro clinic? How can the federal government borrow to provide an individual the equivalent of 1 month minimum wage? PNB must be probed. Andrew Inste said, why do we want to get another loan of $800 million? This is ridiculous. Does President Buhari know what is going on in his government? Is it that some thieves in his government want to get loans and share it among themselves? You know, the comments go on and on and on and on. Very quick reaction to that, especially to saying that maybe President Buhari is borrowing on behalf of the next administration because of the promise to continue to build on his legacy.
Right. See, we met Ashwaj Bola met Tinubu late last year here in Lagos. And people were asking this question, very senior journalists attendants. And they were asking this question, how are you going to be different from the incumbent president? And they said, look, is Buhari and Tinubu, I will continue the good things that he has started. I will not continue the bad things. Of course, he didn't explain those bad things. But you and I know where the president has done well and where he has failed spectacularly. So the president-elect does not have to tell us what and what he will not do. But I remember that he spoke some time ago about this conditional cash transfer. As far as is concerned, the conditional cash transfer, which is meant for the most vulnerable in our society, is one of the policies of the government that we would like to continue. Even the World Bank and the IMF have always preached that there should be such conditional cash transfers that will help cushion the effect of inflation in the country and help improve the economy. So I want to believe that the conditional cash transfer, the government would like to continue. They may not do it exactly the way it's been done, but if there is a lot of transparency about it, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. The president-elect has said he will continue. The president-elect also said he will negotiate with warring parties, with individuals in the Southeast that are behind trouble that we have in the Southeast, that is committed to peace in the Southeast. I heard him say that clearly, and I will be reminding him of some of these promises. I do not expect him to continue some of the negative tendencies of the current administration. Is way too smart to do that. And when you look at both men, you see that they are really different. Fashola said one will give you an assignment and it doesn't look back. The other one will give you an assignment and will still micromanage you. Ashwaj Bola met Tinubu like that. He hardly sleeps before 2 a.m. every day. It's always been like that. So he will give you a job and he will monitor what he has given you. I'm convinced that he will be a better manager of the economy. So I don't think that we should worry ourselves about him continuing some of the bad things that this administration has done. I don't think it's going to be like that. But the area of infrastructure, the administration made some gains. I would like to see the incoming administration build on the gains that have been made in the area of infrastructure. But these loans that we keep taking as if we are like a drunken sailor, it has to stop because it's becoming unsustainable. I'm happy that everyone is telling Nigeria now. The other day, China refused to give us a loan because the capacity to pay back is diminishing day in, day out. So we have to tell ourselves at some point that, look, enough. Because we are postponing the evil day. Generations unborn will have to pay back these loans. We have to think about that.
Right, because of our time, let's quickly go to the last topic. The Labour Party has been enmeshed in leadership crisis with Abure and others. With Abure and Apapa factions tearing at each other's throats and making a nuisance of it in the court of law. Why is a party that claimed it wanted to rescue Nigeria looking like the one needing rescue itself? BKO.
I think there is a level of desperation even on the part of the power people within the Labour Party. Some of them appear to be extremely hungry for power. It's like they've never seen power and they're extremely hungry for it. For example, where a court gives a directive that you chairman, stop parading yourself as the chairman of a party. You must obey the court. Aburi and others, along with NLC members, possibly took control of the secretariat of the party. Even after a court said, don't parade yourself as leaders of the party. I think that was very bad. And to go to the court, to be fighting one another, calling each other names in public, is extremely shameful. Those behind it should be ashamed of themselves. I also heard that some property of the court got damaged during the scuffle. I don't get it. I don't understand what's going on. I have asked Peter Obi to use his clout to put an end to the crisis. But what we have is a situation in which Peter Obi is behaving like it is impossible for him to resolve the crisis. You must show leadership. You are popular, the people like you. Why won't you show leadership? Get hold of this matter. Call the warring parties and say, enough. This is what we are going to do. This is what we are going to do. But we are not seeing that. Going to court to fight one another is shameful. I didn't expect that to happen. But again, people who will not obey a court of the decision of a court and will forcibly go and take control of the premises of their party secretariat, in my view, can do anything. They've handled their affairs in the most indecorous manner. what have transpired in court deserves to be condemned by anyone. Someone told me that it was after Obi left the scene, he left the court, that this whole thing happened. Whatever it is, there was no need for that show of shame in court. No need, absolutely no need for that show of shame. What we saw was a show of shame. If security men had not been around, they would have lynched Nnamdi Papa. They would have lynched him. Who knows? They could even kill him. So these people need to be spoken to. They have to stop being unruly, either on Twitter or wherever. They need to be spoken to. You can't go to court and wash your dirty linen in such a public arena. It does not cover the party in glory in any way. It does not cover the party in glory. Parties will be involved in crisis. Crises come and go. APC has been involved in many crises. PDP has been involved in many crises. These crises facing that the Labour Party is confronted with will come and go. They should be prepared for even crisis in the future. You can't be so powerful as a party in Nigeria and expect that you won't have crisis, that some people will not take steps to take that power from you. It's a contest. It's a contest for power. So this is the way it is. PDP have had their crisis, APC have had, even Labour Party had crisis in the past, and it broke into two, forming the Zenith Labour Party, So the way you handle the crisis is what will determine whether the party has a future, So the leaders must come together and make up their minds that, look, we have had enough. Let us resolve our differences. If the leaders can't bring everyone together and resolve the differences, then they should be ashamed of themselves.
Right. Andrew Easter says the Labour Party kafufuli, I don't know what that means, is like an episode of the village headmaster. Fear God says, I don't think Akpakpa took money from anybody because it can't have such money and appear so hungry. Fabian Akaise says, you can tell that Peter Obi is not a leader. The man has always chosen to join parties where he would have his way. He left PDP and joined ABGA to be elected governor. He left ABGA and rejoined the PDP. Andrew Instead said they would have broken bottle on each other's head in court. So on and on. Okay, so this says, Fear God says, Akpakpa doesn't have that rectitude to place a cause on the young man that removed his cap. The question is what led to his cap's removal. On and on. And some other people also queried that people are fighting Akpakpa, but then they are not talking about the allegations leveled against the Abure himself. That why are the adherents or the supporters of the Labour Party, behaving this way?
No, there was a complaint against them that they were involved in forgery and all that. I've not heard any one of them say, no, this is a lie, this and that. They need to address that. They need to address that. I wonder why they are shying away from addressing that matter, because that is the crux of the matter. And it was for that reason that the court granted the ex parte order in the first place. Because as long as that issue is not addressed, I don't think these people will leave them alone. I don't think they will leave them alone. So the earlier they address that matter, the better. I don't think that they've shown good leadership qualities. So even go and forcibly take control of the headquarters of the party against another of the courts shows that we are dealing with people without any regard for the law of the land. So I still think that they can have this matter resolved, but it depends on the choices that that they make. As far as Peter Obi is concerned, they will not give legitimacy to people like Apapa. You know, he doesn't want to give legitimacy by having anything to do with him. And Peter claimed that he does not even know him. If you say you do not know somebody who rose to that level, your party, who was taking you, who was receiving you, taking you even before people, big people in the party and outside the party at some point, then whatever you say, people will take with a pinch of the salt. Not surprised that Tore called Peter Obi lying machine the other day. It must be because Tore has had him say one or two things that are not true. We also saw the way he handled the matter of the phone call to Bishop Oyedepo. Initially, he made it look like he didn't. He called it fake, only to admit later on that actually made that conversation, but that the conversation was doctored. But till today,
Right.
It's not clear about. He has not explained fully to us what was doctored. But it's clear that he made that phone call. The bishop never denied that he made the phone call, but it took him so long to even own up that he made that phone call. That's consistent with the behavior of someone who wanted to hide something.
Okay, just like Joseph says Amos Okogo says Peter Obi is behaving like a child who is desperate for ice cream, hence he doesn't want peace because he's taking sides. Fear God says Ibrahim Shita, God bless you, and JIDE for your good work. Remain blessed. I think it's on that note we'll call it a wrap. That's our show for today's edition of Issues with JIDE. Special thanks to you, Babajide Kolade-Otitoju, for those insightful analyses, as always.
Thank you, Ibrahim. We'll do this again next week, God willing.
God willing.
Thank you to our
thanks to you.
faithful viewers for always being there for us.
And thanks to you, to our audience, for joining us in every edition. As BK has appreciated you. You can see the program again anytime by subscribing to our YouTube channel, TVC News Nigeria. Click on the subscribe button to get the latest information. You can also follow us on our social media platforms at TVC News NG. I'm also at Ibrahim TVC News. On behalf of the rest of the team, I'm Ibrahim Shita. See you again next edition. Bye for now.